can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN, Season 7 of the Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's Hockey Challenge is back. You can find it in the Tim Hortons app with a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. We don't do such a good job of that. There's also a chance to win a new Hyundai Tucson as part of the grand prize at the end of the year. Hey, Canadians, you can try to keep a 7-day streak alive and win free coffee or tea for a week. Check it out, timhortons.ca, for a full list of prizes. How you doing, Raymond? You have a good weekend, settled in, lots of relaxation. I know you were working. You were somewhat busy, but it's all local, so it's all good.
Yeah, I was. I had two games, two Canuck games. It was pretty cool to watch Pittsburgh in here on Sunday. There's starting to be, for the teams out west, I don't know, not anticipation, but awareness that you're not going to get to watch Sidney Crosby live too many more times. And, they're only out here once a year. So would you get 1, 2, 3? Well, at least a couple. But so I love it that in warm-up, the Pittsburgh end is just jammed. Everybody's down at one end of the ice watching Crosby do his thing. And the coolest part of the weekend really in that game was Pittsburgh's rookie Ben Kindle, who's from Vancouver. He had 180 people here at the game. And so they had this enormous box was jammed in there. It looked like a bus stop. And Ben scored twice, and you know how it gets quieter when the home team gives up a goal. You could hear the Kindle family and friends thing. You could hear them all cheering. It was pretty. What an awesome day for him. It was really it was cool to see.
You might know this. Look, I mean, every team is allocated a certain number of tickets for the road games, right? And it does change, I believe, depending on the venue. I mean, if Vancouver comes to Toronto, okay, it's more difficult to get tickets, freebies.
Yeah.
There's a certain number, but and it's not really anybody's business, but when you're securing 180 Vancouver Canucks tickets, like that's a chunk. So you're pestering your teammates for starters, but you're digging into your wallet pretty heavily, I would think.
Yeah, I believe the allotment is 45 to 50 tickets in the second highest price range of tickets.
Yeah.
So that's where the seats are.
Sure.
So what you do is, like I would come into Vancouver with my team and I'd start hitting guys up a couple of weeks in advance because they probably didn't have family or friends out here. They're all from the East. And so Parker Wotherspoon's from out here, Tristan when Jari was with the Penguins, they would have had to fight over the Vancouver tickets. So Wotherspoon probably had a couple, and then I think Kindle probably rounded up best he could, but he would have been in his pocket for that game for sure. And you're a rookie and you're like, oh, that's a big hit, So, but it was a good day for him. Really great day.
Yeah, awesome. And there was news coming out of that Canucks Penguins game, which we will visit as part of our Canadian Brewhouse headlines a little bit later in the segment. But we're going to start with the Edmonton Oilers and headlines, Ray, brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. Hockey lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. You can catch every game with game day prizes, the beer specials. There's a lot more, all at the best hockey house in town. Check it out, CanadianBrewhouse.com, for details on what your local brewhouse is up to this hockey season. We shift to Edmonton to start the Canadian Brewhouse headlines tour. The Oilers, Ray, becoming the first team in NHL history. That's a long time to have a defenseman score a hat trick in consecutive games. Matthias Ekholm scored 3 in that 7-4 win, ending the Anaheim Ducks winning streak. So unfortunate for them. And then, of course, Evan Bouchard had 3 on the weekend on Saturday in the overtime win over the Capitals, which spoiled a pretty good day by Mikael Granlund, who had 3 power play goals in that one. But I guess it's fair to call Matthias Ekholm an unlikely source. Obviously, that's that's not his primary skill set, is amassing the goals. Still a fun story for a 35-year-old guy. The fact that it's back-to-back with Bouchard makes it the spectacle that it was last night.
Yeah, I would hope one of them would say next game, before they're, before warm up when they're sitting around, somebody would say, "Hey, forwards, you could, maybe jump in here a
Help us
little
out
bit.
here.
We can't carry the thing forever." The Bouchard game on Saturday night though was unbelievable. Like he was so great he
Yeah.
gets a lot of boots in the shins. And I I think I have this sort of theory about Bouchard. October and November games, he can't quite be engaged. He just kind of
Fair.
like
Yeah.
slumbers through them, and he's so good with the puck that he gets his points here and there. The power play is so great, but he just makes these blunders that make everybody go like they're terrified of picking him for an Olympic team. As the games get better, or more important, he gets better. The problem is
Yeah.
he won't be playing 26 minutes a night on the Olympic team, and somewhere in that whole mix, he's not on the team. And I can see like management and coaches love predictability, and that wouldn't be, the strong suit of Bouchard, I would say. But when he's at the highest end of his game, it is he's as good as the top players in the league offensively when he's at that, like the D man. When he's up there, he just, the game Saturday was, he was just all over it. And then for Ekholm to get 3 goals is kind of funny. Here's something though, Dregs. The Swedish Olympic team is a MASH unit. They've got piles of injuries. Could Ekholm play his way back onto that roster? Because there were a lot of guys that were surprised that he wasn't
Yeah.
involved.
Has to be in
And
the conversation, as we know Bouchard is
I-
with Canada in the conversation at this point. But oof, you're the
you know,
Swedes, you
the
have to be looking at them.
man, the Swedes need forwards, they need defensemen.
Everybody.
It's been a tough go for them health wise.
Yeah, it has been. Speaking of the Swedes, William Nylander, Ray, fined $5,000 for flipping the bird at the TSN camera Sunday afternoon. Ton of reaction to it, and we'll get your opinion. And by the way, Willie did cash a $10 million bonus check in the summer, and he's making $13.5 million this year. So aside from believing and thinking it might be an overreaction by the NHL for an inappropriate gesture, fining him $5,000, come on. I mean, it's pocket change. He pulls more out of his couch on a monthly basis than he has to worry about that.
Well, it was remarkably childish. I mean, like it's not like you don't need to spend 1,000 words of ink writing a story about it, but like, okay, they know the camera's on them. They've got a TV right there they can see. And I mean, what are you doing? Like, why even care? You're on camera. Just sit there. The camera's going to go off. They're going to tell a story. Hey, there are the Leaf injured guys sitting there watching the game. That's basically what they're going to say. Like, what else is there going to say? And
Yeah.
anyway, but what I took out of it is he got a $5,000 fine, which is the maximum under the CBA, correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Which would be exactly the same as almost getting suspended for taking somebody's ankle off with your stick. Like, how could that be the same? How could it
But
be
that's
the
not the
same?
league's fault, right? Like that's
It's not.
negotiated.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not the league's fault at all. But what the first thing I thought, I thought they were going to fine him $125 or something. Like it's certainly not the same as hitting somebody with your stick. And except it is. So I don't know. I saw it. I was like, of all the guys, he's the guy that would do that too.
What, he had
Right?
a smirk
Like
on his face. I mean,
that.
yeah,
But
inappropriate.
that's the point. No, but that's the
Yeah.
point. The smirk and the whole bit. It would
Yeah.
be him. And look, there's no point in being offended. Like Big deal.
Nah.
4-year-olds give each other the finger, right? They're like when they're
Right.
running around on the playground. At least we did. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Like he'll be. I, I can't get past that. It's the same as a stick foul. I just can't get past that.
On Monday, he addressed the media. I mean, he was quick to apologize on Instagram and social media on Sunday night. Monday, he faced the media and he said that he knew that it was bad when he got a text message. I don't know that text message was Brad Treliving, the general manager, but I do know that the general manager did, he ripped him from top to bottom, either face to face or via text as to, okay, you can't do that. And there were others on social media who identified, okay, well, Sergachev did something very similar and he got nothing. Well, the reason that was, I'm told, and it doesn't entirely make sense, was that nobody saw Sergachev do that, right? He's coming down the tunnel. It's, the camera picked it up and we're seeing it on social media. So yes, people saw that. It just maybe wasn't quite as blatant as Willie doing it in the fashion that he did. So much ado about nothing, really, to be fair.
When I saw it, I went, "Oh boy, he's he's going to get nicked for that one."
Yeah.
That was pretty obvious.
Yeah, it was. Um, where are you with the Maple Leafs in general here, right? So they have a recent road trip where it was pretty solid. I mean, it started with the overtime
Mhm.
win over Colorado. They take it between the eyes against Utah the next night. Then they bounce back. They have a good showing against Vegas in Vegas, which isn't easy. Winnipeg, a good game. All of those things, and then they return home and whatever switch that they seem to have flipped coming out of the Christmas break is now on pause again, right? And they're playing with a high level of inconsistency. We saw that in the return of Mitch Marner, where they weren't ready for the start of that game. Poof, it's 2-0. Colorado on Sunday. Okay, bad start. Here we go again. It's 2-0 Colorado. Does it make any sense to you? Because some of the underlying messaging I'm getting is that Toronto has to make a trade. And what I mean by that is, of course, you can see the need in their lineup, particularly for a defenseman. Okay. But sometimes teams just need a boost, don't they? Like a spark, if you will. And that's where general managers Kenny Allen was one of the best at that and is one of the best at that, where you just find a way to give the group something. It doesn't have to be a Quinn Hughes blockbuster. That you got to have a partner, as you always say, to do that. But is it time for Treliving to do something to try and wake this group up?
Well, okay, a couple of things here. I think one of the Leafs' problems with as we talk of their consistency and coming out of that road trip, I think they would have won the Vegas game if they were up 2-0 early and then Nylander got hurt and came out of the game. Like he had it that
He
night.
did.
Like I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
they probably would have. I mean, they lost in overtime. They probably would have won, I think, that
Yep.
game. They
Yep.
didn't. And so then they get through Winnipeg, they get back home. The problem they have, in my opinion, is they don't have a good enough team to play at the bar they need to play at to win or to be consistent night after night after night. You're always going to have a clunker. Like that Utah game, you could see that coming a mile away, right? It was a
Mm-hmm.
bad
Yeah.
travel and it was just, you could see that coming. But I don't think, and I think this is a challenge for a lot of teams that are pretty good, is that they're not quite good enough to sustain the level of intensity and execution that they need to
Mm-hmm.
play a long stretch of games. And so how do you fix that? You try and add a piece here, or you hope that guys get, find a groove altogether. Look, when they added Troy Stetcher off waivers, I mean, was anybody jumping up and down? No, and what they got was a guy that's been in their top four and played really, really well for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yeah.
can be a smaller addition, somebody that can bring a different energy, perhaps, but um, the, you start waiting around here. Not that Brad Treliving's waiting around, but you start waiting around and say, oh, it's only 30 game, it's only 40 games. Well, now we're at a point in the year, there's not much left. Really, there's
No.
not. And it's going to get, once it gets to that Olympic break, it's 12 days to the trade deadline, and then most teams got
Yeah.
like 25 games. Like there's really not very much time, and I'd be a little nervous if I'm trying to work my way into a playoff spot in the East. I'd be a little nervous that Florida's
Yep.
starting to climb a little bit here. They're, they got Kachuk back, and that was you know a really really good thing. They just got Marchand back after 7 games, so now they got a couple of guys left. They'll get Jones back after the break. Like I would worry that one of those last playoff spots is going to get gobbled up by them, and
Yeah.
then pretty soon now you're fighting over not very much.
Yeah, and look, to your point, when you look through the standings, it's so tight. It's been that way essentially
Yeah.
through the first 10 games, and it doesn't appear like it's going to change. So I don't think that it's an overreaction, or it's low-hanging fruit, or headline grabbing, or call it whatever you want, to look at the next 5 games for the Maple Leafs and go, this is it. This is the season. I mean, as we record here Tuesday morning, Toronto hosts the Buffalo Sabres, really good team right now in the East. And then they go out west, Seattle on Thursday. That's a tough one, followed by the swing through Western Canada with Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton. If that's a 5-game stretch that could literally make or break their playoff chances, right? I mean, that's what it's come down to at this stage.
Well, so what constitutes success for them?
Yeah.
The first game
Yeah.
out west is always tough, right? It's
Yeah.
a
Different
long way.
time zone. Yeah.
Different time zone. Like there's the possibility that you don't have it early enough in the game, and but I think they should be looking at that and go, we can win 3 out of 4 on the west swing. Like that's how they have to look at it, or we
Yeah.
need to win 3 out of 4. Edmonton will be tough, and Buffalo. I still cannot. I apologize to any Sabres fans that are listening. I still can't get my head around that they're winning all these games. It's
Me
been
neither.
so long. There's
Yeah.
starting to be numbers that come out. They haven't been in. I'm just going to look it up here because I saw something the other day that I was like, I hope I can find it. Something about they haven't been in a third in the Atlantic at this time of the year in 14 years or 12 years or something.
Yeah.
Whenever they went to the division, it's some crazy number, and you're like,
Yeah.
how could that even be? And yet it's been forever. They haven't been in the
Okay.
playoffs. They're playing really really great hockey. And
I'm chuckling.
who's the hottest goalie in the league, Dregs?
Lukinen?
No, Alex Lyon has won 9
Yes.
straight games. 9 straight games. Like I don't know. I can't make sense of any of it, except I'd be worried about playing them right now because they're
Yeah.
just zipping along. They're playing really well.
So I'm thinking about this, and obviously, as an insider, you're always trying to forward the story. All right. And part of what we're watching for is, okay, what's Buffalo doing with Alex Tuch? Are they going to finally extend after weeks and months of deliberating on this? Or, you know, do they activate him as trade bait? But then you look and you've identified. I mean, they're third in their division. They're comfortably in a spot right now that can change in a stretch. How do you trade a piece like this? And I'm reminded of, was it 2019 when Jarmo Kekalainen, then of the Columbus Blue Jackets, said, "Hey,
Yep.
I'm going to give the fans something to really look forward to here. I'm not going to trade Artemi Panarin or Sergei Bobrovsky.
Right.
We're just going to hold everything together and we're going to go for it." And you can appreciate why Jarmo took that position back then. It didn't work. And then, Panarin buggers off to the New York Rangers, and the rest, as they say, is history. But could we see a repeat performance of that sort of management tactic here with Alex Tuch and the Sabres?
Well, I would say that probably falls into his experience bucket, right? He's been through it once
Yeah.
before. In Columbus, they were looking for a playoff position because they hadn't been in the playoffs in a while. Um, Buffalo has been 14 years. They're
Yeah.
they're starting to sell out games again. It is, I gotta say, we used to go into Buffalo to play, and the building would have an energy to it.
Mm.
And like this is when I was playing, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is a hard place to play,
Mm.
like a really hard place to play. For a decade, it hasn't been that. Now
Yeah.
they're starting to get, you can just see these guys, like their chests are puffed out, they're confident, um, they think they're going to win all the time. If you're taking Tuch out of that right now, I don't think the type of trade is a futures trade
Right.
for Buffalo's. Like they've already looked at the future 100 years in a row. They need
Yeah.
it would have to be a significant player back, and I don't see that happening.
No,
Um,
I don't
I
either.
my gut is that he's going to stay there,
Yeah.
um, and they're gonna ride this like I think they should. I mean, they're a scary team right now because for them everything is new and fun, and they've been
Hmm.
together a long time, and they're like they must be they must be saying this is so great, this is so
Oh,
fun, because they've as a collective they've been kicked in the teeth for years. Like
for
a lot of
years.
those players have been there for a lot of this. This
Yeah.
must be this must be so great for them.
Mm. All right, let's shift back to a couple of Canadian teams. The Winnipeg Jets in New Jersey to face the Devils. Man, did Scott Arniel unleash on Saturday after the 5-1 loss to the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, he used the word embarrassing 2-3 times in the first 10 seconds of his post-game meeting with the local media there. Said fighting for our lives, and we lay that egg? Question. I mean, exasperated. Just didn't, and for the fans that don't know, coaches and players don't have a whole lot of time to gather themselves post game. They have a bit of time. How many minutes is it? Probably 7 to 10,
10.
something like that.
Yeah, 10
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, for a coach.
So, and most coaches will, you know, pull themselves together and recognize that, okay, I'm sour as can be, but I gotta lean on something positive here. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but I'm not gonna bury these guys in the process. And Arniel wanted absolutely no part of that. And I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses for the Jets, because it does feel though that a condensed schedule has negatively impacted those teams that just can't get out of the mud, right? Like you just,
Yep.
and I wonder why that is. Maybe you have an explanation for it, because it does go two ways. The teams like Colorado, got jumped out of the gate and just off and running, and away they go, and they're able to manage the blips. And Winnipeg just not one of those teams that has not been able to do that.
Well, I have a thought initially, and that's Colorado's better.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
right. So,
There's
I
that
mean,
for sure.
sometimes I think we dive in and we're looking in these details, and you're like, oh yeah, they're just not good enough. And I would say with Winnipeg, they have these little pockets of good play. And I think Dregs, we talked early in the year, like they're not fast enough, and man, they're scoring behind that top line is really going to be dicey.
Yeah.
That, like we said that in not just us, everybody I think that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
looking and evaluating teams felt like it's gonna that's gonna be a problem. Well, it's turned out to be a problem. And like I said with Toronto, maybe they're just not good enough to play at the level they need to play at for long enough. And so they have these pockets of good play, and then
Yeah.
everybody, you don't have great energy every night or great legs every night. So maybe you come off 5%. Maybe six guys are off 5 or 10% on a given night.
Yeah.
It's too much. You can't overcome it. So
Yeah.
when you're the coach, I mean, you can rant and rave and yell and scream, but you can't make a slow guy fast. You can't make a short guy tall. And
Yeah.
I think there's some of that going on right with some of these teams. Is like there is no fix. Unfortunately for them, there is no fix.
Hmm. Well, and you're, no different, well, different than Toronto, but what I mean in making the comparison is where we're at in the regular season games played, right? So,
Yeah.
Winnipeg is never going to embrace a rebuild. They're just not going to do it. And why would you when you've got, a Vezina winning goalie, you've got a terrific number one center, you've got the wingman in Kyle Connor, you've got Josh Morrison. I mean, so many different pieces in Winnipeg that, yeah, maybe you do embrace the idea of a retool, right? And maybe this is that year where you've got Logan Stanley, who is a pending unrestricted free agent. How big is that guy? Like 6'7"?
9'4".
He's just enormous. Having a hell of a
Enormous
year.
human.
He's
Yep.
enormous. Having a great year. So if you're not comfortable with whatever that contract looks like, and I honestly, I don't think they've engaged yet with
Okay.
Newport to figure that out. You might have to make a tough call. Look, there's been tons of speculation around Logan Stanley, around Cole Perfetti. What if Shane Wright is available with Seattle? I know that Winnipeg has not talked to Seattle about Shane Wright. That's not to say Shane Wright isn't going to be in play. We know that Seattle's looking for a top winger. That's what they need. But, again, I always ask you to put your GM hat on. If you're Cheveldayoff, wouldn't that getting another decent first round draft pick be enticing, even though it comes at the expense of a Logan Stanley? I mean, doesn't that make sense? Or you consider Perfetti? I don't know, but it does make some sense to me.
It makes a lot of sense because whether you want to or not, at some point you got to take a deep breath here and say, what is the realistic expectation for this team?
Yeah.
And I would say one of the most interesting parts of the trade deadline, and we do, as it's been well talked about, there's two trade deadlines this year. There's the Olympic break and then the actual deadline.
Yeah.
Is that the poker playing going on for the managers right now starts to get more and more heightened because you have an asset, if it's Stanley, and you're talking to a couple of different teams. When do you pull the trigger? When is enough enough? When
Yeah.
does that offer disappear and they go, you know what? Maybe if I'm another team and I'm talking to Cheveldayoff, I'm like, ooh, he's going to push this farther. I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm going to pivot and get my number two guy. And then you're
Right.
left holding the bag. Like there's a real interesting
Yeah.
dynamic to all of this. And it's not just the players have to match. It's the
No.
GM has to step off the curb and go, okay, that's it. I'm ready to make the deal. And then the other GM has to say the same thing. So it's I think in a lot of cases, you can talk yourself out of a good deal because you think there might be a better one somewhere else, and then you
Mhm.
miss the window. You miss the window on that deal.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm sure the messaging in Winnipeg, at least from an organizational standpoint, it's one game at a time. So let's focus on the Devils and then we'll worry about the next thing. But to summarize, I think you just nailed it right on the head. Like Cheveldayoff has been doing this a long time. If there was an offer that made the Jets better and it required you to consider one of those young pieces, like a Logan Stanley, who seems more likely because contractually he's an unrestricted free
Yeah.
agent, then you consider it. But until that happens, you're not giving a piece like that away for under market value. That wouldn't make any sense to anybody. All
No,
right.
what's the point? Yeah, you wouldn't
No
do that.
point. No. Vancouver is where we would expect the Canucks to be. Nothing wrong with being in last place in the NHL based on, again, what the direction of this team is. But they just get healthy again late last week. And here they are again, with some pretty significant pieces on the sideline. It sounds like Brock Boeser is concussed, and we're recording this Tuesday morning. There's a hearing for Brian Rust of the Penguins, and I watched that game. Your call was that was a suspendable play, and I agree with you. And I'd be surprised. Again, we're not going to edit the suspension will be out there for some who are listening to this after the fact. But Boeser, the last couple of games, had actually seemingly come online because he'd been
Right.
real slow for the first good chunk of the year.
We went through, I think it was 1 goal in 28 games, and then he had 3 in his last 5, and he was fishing around the front of the net. If you haven't seen the play for a tying goal in the last seconds of the game, and Rust came across the slot, and Boeser went down, and it looked in the scramble, I said initially, maybe he took a stick, and then we see the replay, and Rust hit him right in the head with his elbow, and his elbow was chicken winged out a little bit. Um, Couple of things on this. Not Rust's style to do that, but he
No.
did it. The lack of history will probably help Rust in a suspension. But there's going to be one, and there should be one. It's funny though, like when you're broadcasting the game, like I get one look at that. That's it.
Yeah.
And so I make that determination in literally 1 second. And it either looks like it or it isn't. And because there was no time, it was the end of the game. We were throwing off air to go to Calgary. I think the Calgary Anaheim game. And so Vancouver loses Buium with a puck in the face, and Boeser. They both go on IR here, and Rust will get suspended. I'd assume for a few games here. That it should. I mean, he hit him right in the head with his elbow when he probably didn't need to. Well, not probably didn't. He didn't need to do that. It was a strange play because it's really quite unlike him. He's just a real honest, hard, old style player. And and you can't say, oh, he never does that, because he just did it. But it's not habitual. It's not something that you see a lot. But this, for me, Dregs, is a couple of games for sure.
Okay. And again, probably dating ourselves a bit here on the Rain Dregs podcast, but the Canucks will supply clarity on the direction of Thatcher Demko this week, whether it's today being Tuesday, tomorrow, at some point this week, as the results are coming in, on what is his best path. And it's been reported and to a degree speculated on. So I don't mind sharing that, it'd be a surprise to no one if his season is done and he gets the necessary treatment, maybe a procedure, to try and alleviate the issues that he's dealing with yet again, to get him as close to pain-free as he can be, so he can hit the offseason head on. And best case scenario, Thatcher Demko is healthy for training camp and, puts a laundry list, a long, long list of stuff behind him to be the star goalie that he's been in Vancouver when healthy.
It is it has been almost an endless chase for health for him. And I guess you could, if you're a Canucks fan, you can be angry that he's not healthy. But the simple fact is he doesn't feel well enough to play. Now, remember, not this summer, but the year before, he had this knee thing that they couldn't figure out. And then eventually it's this popliteus muscle. Remember that word?
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I know that is I'm having knee trouble again, and I'm at the doctor's and where I'm pointing to it. This is the spot, and this is what happens when I move sometimes a certain way. And the explanation, the diagnosis is it's your popliteus muscle. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud! I'd never heard of this thing until 18 months ago. All I know is it's a complete pain in the ass. Like the pain that shoots in there sometimes, not all the time, is excruciating. So I have a little bit of an understanding of what that injury was. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder he didn't trust that he could play. Like, no wonder. It hurts like hell. And then it goes away. And then you feel good. And then yesterday it jammed up on me when I got out of the car and just put my foot down. Like, I'm not trying to play goal. I'm just trying to walk across the street to the grocery store. And so, like, I get it. But
that's perspective that nobody else would have unless they've experienced it or now hearing from you. And there might be something else that's around what Thatcher
I'm not
Demko is
saying
dealing with.
I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm just saying that's one portion of what he was chasing that I now actually quite understand. And the rest of it, I don't know. But man, this must be increasingly frustrating by the minute for both him and the team.
At least, though, again, they're not trying to hide their reality from anybody. We know what the direction the Canucks. Why wouldn't you? If he needs a procedure, do it. and allow him to at least try and get back to whatever near perfect health is for Thatcher Demko. So we will learn more from the Vancouver Canucks here shortly. All right, Raymond, those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. We've got Ask Ray and Dregs Anything coming up. It's Tuesday. Normally we do these things on Thursday, but Ryan Rashog has made the executive decision because we have a lot of
another one
going on. Oh, yes.
Another one?
Yes. This time, at least, he brought us into the circle. He allowed us to provide some opinion and input. So we've got many questions, correct, that have been submitted by either DMing us on X or visiting the website. And you can continue to do that. RayandDregs.com to submit your questions. How does it look there, Reesh?
Oh, it looks good. It looks good, Dregs. Let's just say you're going to be held to account for something specific. Okay. Both of you are going to be held to account on something else. The listeners are starting to, speak up about some things. So just be prepared for that, Dregs. A little fastball.
Hey, I did. It's a little spicy. Can I throw something at you guys? And I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but it won't impact the respect.
Is there anything we can say?
Ray and Dregs podcast. No.
Is there anything we can say so that you don't, or are you just going to do this either way?
No, it was an experience, and Ray and I have gone back and forth. He's not even aware of this, but rarely do either one of us engage with somebody on social media. Yeah. Rarely, but every once in a while you feel like you have to. So some account came after me last week and said, "Well, it was pre-Marner return to Toronto, and you can say this." It was responding to something I said on Overdrive or whatever, and this account came after me. "Oh, you can talk because go after the fans for this or that, but you're not the guy that's spending the money." And I said, "Well, I am a partial season ticket holder, so point of correction here, I do spend money, thousands of dollars on season tickets." Well, you can imagine what the response was. And I'll paraphrase by the assertion that I'm a male who sits down when I pee. That was part of it. Which I found was amusing, but I'm like, okay, well, I got to stop this. And the first time ever, I reported it to the ex-bosses. I just, you go on to the three dots and you can report a tweet. So I did, and this account was managed appropriately. So
I'm sure.
Come at me with
I'm
whatever
sure
you
there
got.
was lots of follow-up. I'm sure you really showed them. You're sitting there arguing with a cell phone on a shelf in a bot farm in Silicon Valley. You're arguing with nobody.
I'm not arguing. It was a point of correction, and I made it, and we all moved on until there was some pretty rude things said about me.
All right. Well, Vince Mountain is about to come right at your head too here, Dregs. He's throwing a fastball at you. Vince Mountain. Show some love for the Red Wings was the title of this email. This came in via email. Why don't you ever talk about the Wings? Norris caliber defenseman Sider, Raymond making sick plays, JVR putting up points around the goal, resurgence of Kopp, Edmondson, Gibson on an absolute tear, WTF, exclamation point, and 3 question marks. Somebody coming right at you, Dregs, as the content
they're
producer
good
on the show.
Okay, what else are we going to say? We have talked about Detroit. The Rasmus Anderson trade. I said Detroit wasn't in it because they didn't feel they were ready to make a deal of that magnitude. Well, what else are we supposed to say, Ray? I don't know. What else? They're having a good year.
Well, maybe we could say that, John Gibson is actually, he's hotter than Alex Lyon, I think, at this point. He's like 18-2 in his last
really
20 starts. Sider's so good. He's so good. And he's, hard to believe. I think he's 23, maybe 24. When I think of the Wings, I'm like, I forget how young they are. That's a really young team still. And because they haven't made the playoffs in a while, but they're really good. JVR is fascinating. He, I don't know who skates less in a game, him or Corey Perry, but they both, I think JVR's got 12 goals. He's he loves prepping and preparing and, making sure he's ready to play. And wherever they put him, he plays his 12 or 13 minutes and scores.
Crazy.
it's really, really impressive to watch. I mean, he got drafted in 2007. I'm thinking now that I say that, I think Ben Kindle was born in 2007. and JVR is still scoring. It's really pretty incredible.
All right. Well, just keep that in mind for future shows.
Yeah,
we will.
Vince Mountain would appreciate that.
Thanks, Vince.
Okay, this one, this one, we got a bit of a Detroit theme. Paul from Detroit. Subject is face-offs. Got a little bit to say about the show here. He says, gents, great show as always. I truly look forward to the info and the entertainment. Ray's way of wording things, typically through a lens of simplicity and intolerance, frankly cracks me up.
Did you write this, Ryan?
I did not. Also,
simplicity and
now, what I'm about to say. Also, kind of shocked that Ryan deserves and then tolerates the amount of abuse he takes. Thank you, Paul, but that's between you guys. Anyways, regarding face-offs, I have a question as to the rules of what the linesmen look for when they toss a player from the circle, being it a Detroit season ticket holder with seats quite close to one of the in-zone face-off dots. I'm amazed at how often Larkin gets tossed. Been around the game a long time with a pretty astute eye, but this one I cannot figure out. Thank you. Thank you, Paul from Detroit. Thank you. You guys care to address any particular
Raymond?
piece of that? Maybe multiple pieces of that emailer that you want to address, right?
Okay, well, start with he doesn't know what we have to put up with you. So he's only getting a small portion of this. I would say that's fair, isn't it, Dregs? Like,
correct.
This is drivel and nonsense in our text chain that we have to drill. And it comes from the RR part of it. As for face-offs, 2 rules I don't get anymore. Centerman getting kicked out of the draw and icing. They used to be 2 of the real simple ones to figure out, but it would be basically on his positioning. So it would be his feet or that he jumps the drop of the puck. If I could tell a quick Wayne Gretzky story, I'd never talk to him. I'm either a rookie or my second year, and we're taking a draw in Edmonton, and they didn't have the lines for your feet, that you had to have a foot on each side of the face-off line. So the veterans used to cheat, and the rookies, the young guys, they'd always make us stand like dead straight. You didn't have a chance. And so I'm taking a draw against Gretz, and again, I don't know him. He's Wayne Gretzky, right? And he's turned almost sideways. And I said, well, why don't you throw the puck in the frickin' corner for him? And he goes, and he looks across and he goes, why don't you shut the up and put your stick on the ice? And I went, and I just put my stick down like that. I was standing there like a little kid had been scolded in the first grade. He won the draw. My stick never touched his stick or the puck for the remainder of that portion of the game. I was terrified. I was so mad at me. And I was like, oh, sorry. And I just stood there. Oops, sorry about the F-bomb, but that's what
what he said.
For Zuby.
You were quoting.
Yeah, it was a direct quote.
Anything on that, Dregs? Face-offs or your treatment of me?
Well, yeah, I feel like you've scoured through the questions that have been submitted, and you're trying to defend yourself, and you're finding questions that illustrate not flaws in our game, but just maybe areas of concern, which is fine. You're entitled to that. But I will submit as one of the principal owners of the podcast that at some point, Ray, I think we need to remove Ryan from the segment, at least for one episode, and bring in the face of the franchise, which is Randine Rashog. I feel like that would really boost the segment. Fresh face, great personality.
She has to be doing better on the Tim Hortons challenge than Ryan. That's without.
My stepdaughter Avery's just crushing me too in this thing. Okay. A little bit off the beaten path. I love the honesty of some of our emailers. So this comes from Honest Aaron in parts unknown. So This came in via email too. Hey guys, what are you watching these days? Movies, series? I work a late night security desk, and if I position my iPhone under the lip of the desk and throw in AirPods, I seem to be able to get away with watching shows. Any suggestions from Honest Aaron in parts unknown? What are we watching right now, boys?
Raymond, you got anything?
I'm waiting till tomorrow. Shrinking is coming out, season 3.
Oh yes.
And I think it's a really funny show. The last one I really dug into was The Diplomat. Really liked that. Thought it was really cool show.
Well done.
What I'm gonna watch now, it's just out on Netflix. In 2003, these 8 young people, like in their early 20s, they found an entry point into the mall in Providence, Rhode Island. And they built an apartment and lived there for 8 years.
What?
And they videoed the whole thing. So it's got I saw the trailer. It's got actual footage of them carrying cinder blocks down this stairway because they had to build the walls for the apartment. 8 years they were in there.
Really?
And like they would come out and then they're in the mall, food court. I mean, maybe they went to Orange Julius or wherever they went. That was a staple in the mall.
So you got that on deck.
That's coming next. Yeah. I think it's got good reviews.
All right, Dregs.
Well, Landman just wrapped up another fabulous season. I love Landman. I love it.
Finish that.
Needed a little bit lighter series. So Holly and I watched the 4 seasons with, I think it's Tina Fey and Steve Carell. Just 6 close friends and how their lives change over the 4 seasons in a year. So it was okay. It was interesting. And watched a movie on the weekend. You guys have probably seen it with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, The Rip.
Yep.
Where they're
I thought it was just okay.
It was
just okay.
Okay, but are you watching alone or are you watching with Cammie? Because there's a difference.
Cammie.
What?
And
why does that matter?
Okay. Huh?
Why does that matter who you're watching with? The movie is the movie.
No, well, for me, I thought it was just okay. Holly seemed to like it because she thought that there was an okay balance between nasty violence, gunplay, all of that. She doesn't like it over the top. So it has to be the middle ground. So it was good for both of us. I would have liked a titch more action, and the plot seemed obvious. So that's what we've been watching.
So it was too much.
A tomatoes review here.
Well, but I guess we shouldn't. I mean, that's good. I'm glad you watched. We all like different shows. That's why they put lots of different shows out there. Anyway,
if you want something a little, so Drops of God over on Apple TV. If you're a wine connoisseur, there's 2 seasons. I just watched the first season. Really interesting storylines surrounded by sort of the world of fine wines and wine tasters. I thought that was interesting.
Why would you be watching that?
Well, you know why? Because next time we get to Edmonton and he brings out the Gala keg again, with the wine in a bag that he likes to buy for us. I mean, this will be perfect. So anyway,
Alligator Orange doesn't buy the fancy wine when we're out for dinner.
The box of wine.
Sure of that.
I watched it because I actually like wine, but I can't drink it because it makes the gout flare like crazy. So anyway, I dug into that one. Then the other one, Randy and I have started watching is Hacks. Hacks is so good. It's so good. Really? It's called Hacks. I believe it's on Crave, and definitely worth. If you're looking for something to watch with your wife, it's about a famous comedian and a writer that she hires, and kind of the ebbs and flows of her career in Vegas and in Hollywood as a famous comedian. It's really well done and really, really funny. So Hacks. There you go. So there you go, Honest Aaron. That wraps up Ask Ray and Dregs. Anything? Last question I have for
good bucket today. I like that.
Yeah, good little cross section. Yeah. Last question I have today is just how was everyone's breakfast? I had a wonderful little couple of pieces of toast with peanut butter, banana, little sprinkle of Dregs. Anybody make anything special for you for breakfast today, Dregs? Anything at all?
Yeah. Holly made some overnight slop. I don't know what it was. Ray said it's like overnight oats. I don't even know. I think there's
you got the pictures in there.
He was like, yeah.
Look at the text. Put some fruit in it.
Well, there was. See, that's what the black blotches are. Like,
has Holly spent time in prison? I mean, like, you got to dance that up with a banana and like little.
So
maybe
the text
some
down below says, day 27 sans alcohol. We know he's doing dry January. Mom is trying to poison me now with some overnight breakfast slop. We get this in our Ray and Dregs chat. And then Dregs is like, oops, I thought I was sending that to my kids.
Yes, it was. It was for my kids. But you know what? I'm a consistency. I'm a texture guy, right? So it's got to have substance. And I was never a booger eater as a kid. I don't know, Ryan, you probably were. But it had the consistency of snot. And I'm
doing here. How old are you?
I'm just saying. That's what it had, that consistency. And I'm like,
Heaven forbid, Ray, she try and keep him alive for a few more years by putting some healthy food in front of him, putting in some time and effort for some overnight
lots
oats.
of love, as you can tell, poured into that.
She gets ridiculed.
It takes 5 or 7 minutes to prep it the night before.
Yeah.
And, so I think you should
be 45 minutes to try and eat it.
Okay. I'm sticking up for Holly on this one. She shouldn't be taking this from you.
Well, it shouldn't be like that. I'll send you Holly, I'll send a new recipe. And this is my breakfast, right there. It's so delicious.
A little protein shake. Nice.
I'm out of here, boys.
Little IM8 stuff, like some electrolytes, some vitamins, all together. And it's kind of between your potentially healthy overnight oats and Ryan's overblown childlike peanut butter toast. It's right in the middle.
Simple yet intolerant, Ray. That's a good breakfast right there, buddy.
That's
all right, man.
That's one of that's one of the greatest descriptions.
It is very solid.
Through a lens of simplicity. Through a lens of simplicity and intolerance.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, let me tell you
exploding right now. We gotta get going here pretty quick.
Okay, let me tell you just one quick thing. So Cammy was out. She was out for work and came back. She goes, I ran into this guy on the plane and we were talking, and he said, I met your husband and at the golf course, and he was really nice. And Cammy said, I kind of exhaled. I thought he was going to say that you gave him crap for being slow or something. And I'm like, and I was like, is this where I am? We've been married 21 years. And every time someone brings my name up, you're holding your breath that I've not been a jackass somewhere. I'm like, God dang, I think I'm getting better, but apparently the bar is low.
Better.
But apparently the bar is really low. So
yeah, you got some ground to make up. There's no question about that.
Damn it.
All right, let's bring in Zuby. Where are you, Zuby? Chris Abunia joining us for an update on the Tim's Hockey Challenge. And some progress made with our picks last Thursday, but not a lot, Zub. Not a lot of progress.
Well, we finally got back to some ones, up from a number of zeros that we all had in a row there. Dregs got 1, he's got 29. Ray got 1, he's got 22. So still a gap of 7 there. You guys did stretch your lead on Shager, who did not get 1. He continued the goose egg trend. He's got 14, so he's still 8. What a separation we've got here. 7 from Dregs to Ray, another 8 down to Shager. I was 0 for 3 on the show day. I still got 84, clipping along at 26%. I know we're a little tight on time, so I'll say all the show. No, there's no point in me ever watching. I'm so far behind on shows. Anyone recommending new shows to me is like completely lost, even though I have every gosh darn streaming service there is. I'm currently watching Arrested Development,
Good.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay, but
and I'm
here's
on
the thing.
season 1 a half of those.
It doesn't matter. It's not like they're going to go away. You don't have to watch them by next Thursday.
That's right.
Yeah, this is true. And Dregs, get some walnut crumble in there with the oats.
Yeah.
If you're a texture guy, that's going to help you. I'm here to solve problems.
I hear you, man, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure Holly would tell me that we haven't had a communication yet this morning, but she would say the same. Well, I just made it. Now you've got to doctor it up a little bit and add
Dregs,
the texture.
I'm gonna send you the text. I'm gonna send you the text of the ones that I have, and it's delicious. Nice coffee, overnight oats. That's a good breakfast for me, and I think you'll like it.
Okay, and I promise, we will revisit this in the near future. And
I like Zuby's the walnut crunch on there. I like that, Zuby.
Good idea.
Yeah, very good. And to put a button on the Tim's Hockey Challenge.
Yeah.
Don't be too hasty picking in the second bucket today. There's gold if you dig down to the bottom. So that's my.
Oh,
you
Zuby.
you guys are pretty dialed in. I think you'll find it. But just
I think I went with Dorofeyev.
Oh, he's in the third.
He's in the third bucket.
Oh, maybe that. Okay, second.
Well, I was like, how the hell did he get there? He can score.
Okay.
Anyway,
well, let me just look here. All right. Well, we'll figure it out.
There's an Olympian.
I know
an Olympian in that second bucket that is hiding near the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to both of you.
All right. Yeah. Have a good one, fellas.
Let's land the plane here, fellas. This is the boss talking. Let's land the plane.
Boss.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're tired of Ryan too. We've had enough of him. And I hope you have a great couple of days. We'll talk to you Thursday.
Awesome. Good stuff, Raymond. And thank you to our sponsors who continue to support the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until Thursday, stay safe, everybody.